Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Nurhafiza Binti Sarun. My number matrix is 279564. I am from group 2. My group member include me, Praveen, Nurulhuda, Aina Nadira, and Loi Mun Hon. Our assignment is the performance of international trade in Malaysia from 2009 to 2019. I will present 3 parts from section 1, which is 1.0 Introduction, 1.1 Research Background, and 1.2 Research Question. The international trade, known as the exchange of goods, capital, and services across international territories and borders. International trade is one of the most important economic benefits to the country. This is because international trade is affordable and contributes to the economic development of a country. In addition, international trade can be conducted by government or firms that have the power to operate on an international scale. In 2050, for Malaysia was a challenging year in terms of the economy as well as international trade. This is because factors such as mainly the fall in global crude oil prices, the depreciation of the ringgit, and the slowdown in trading momentum. However, the World Bank's organizations affected Malaysia trade, which is exceeded expectation. Second, for 1.1, which is research background, after Malaysia achieved independence in 1957, the Malaysia economic grew, where many initiatives have been introduced to revive the country's economy as a result of the country's economic development. There was the liberalization of international trade in Malaysia in the 1960s, which contributed directly to socio-economic and political stability. Not only that, there are several factors on how international trade affected a country's economic activity from the aspect political and economics. The international trade performance of major sector, which is export and import. Accordingly, the exchange rate, globalization, competitiveness, and trade barriers are also factors that influence international trade. Next, the exchange rate refers to the price of one currency in terms of another currency. The exchange rate is not fixed because its value fluctuates depending on demand for a particular currency. If the demand for money is high for a country currency, then the price will tend to increase. Throughout the international trade, Malaysia is faced various challenges and difficulties. The various issues that regarding the challenges faced by Malaysia while maintaining trade relationship with the world to ensure the performance of international trade in good shape. The international trade performance of major sector in Malaysia, including export and import, is constantly changing. But not least, for 1.2, which is research question, for 1.2.1, the research question is what is the trend performance of international trade of Malaysia from 2009 to 2019. In major sectors, export increased productivity. A country will bring incentives in achieving technological advancement that can lead to improved overall economic performance. Apart from export, import also play an important role as part of the foreign trade balance. While import have a negative impact on the trade balance, they also play an important role as export promote growth. The reason second is 1.2.2, which is what is the importance of performance international trade in Malaysia. The reason why international trade performance in Malaysia is important, it is because the trade performance of a country is very likely to be used as an indicator of good economic performance. With the performance of this international trade, performing countries can record higher GDP growth rates. That's all for me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Aina Binti Ramzi. My metric number is 27777. Today, I want to explain about 1.2 research question. The research question number 3 is, what are the types and impact of trade barriers on international trade in Malaysia? There are 3 types of trade barriers in international trade of Malaysia. First, tariff barriers. Second, non-tariff barriers. And last, quota. Tariff barriers are taxes on certain import things or goods. Non-tariff barriers is limit or control the amount of goods and services from entering in the country. And the lastly, quota is a government action to limit maximum quantity goods or services from abroad to entering the country. The research question number 4 is, why does the influence of interaction between international trade and does the exchange rate need to be undefined? This is because it affects the value of import and export. This is because when an increase in the foreign exchange rate has caused the price of Malaysia export to become cheaper and has causes the demand for Malaysian import from other country increase. So the activity import good from other country will decrease. Therefore, the supply of foreign currency will increase. Now, let's move to 1.3 research objective. This research was conducted to examine the performance of international trade in Malaysia from 2010 until 2020. From the research, we come out with the 3 objectives, which is to examine the trade performance of international trade, focusing on major sectors in Malaysia from 2010 until 2020. Second, to review the importance of performance of international trade in Malaysia from 2010 until 2020. And lastly, to study the types and impacts of trade barriers on international trade in Malaysia. 1.4 Importance of study. We doing research about performance of international trade in Malaysia because international trade can explain the market. This is because it encourages a country to specialize in the production of a good that has a comparative advantage. Second, international trade can promote the use of technology. Local manufacturer can import more modern machines and tools for use in production process. And lastly, international trade also increase employment opportunities. This is because job opportunities will be created and the problem of domestic unemployment will be reduced.
Hi, my name is Praveen and my metric number is 255987. I would like to present about literature review. Okay, the first point is Malaysia International Trade Performance. The purpose of this study is to look at the impact of trade barriers on Malaysia international trade performance. First of all, tariffs are by far the most common and visible way of providing protection, and volume tariff is the most frequent type in which the charge is calculated as percentage of the value of the important item. Tariff rate tends to be the lowest on unprocessed item and increase as levels grow. And the average tariff rates on timber goods in a major importing nation are modest, often less than 5%. Okay. The second one is non-tariff. Non-tariff barriers are laws, rules, programs, and practices that either shield locally produced goods from the international competition or artificially boost domestic product export. Okay, non-tariff measures are employed in a variety of ways. NTM are more difficult to predict than tariff measures. Direct quantitative restraints such as import quotas, tariff quotas, and voluntary export restraints, technical requirements, and plant health, as well as offer time-consuming import licenses, custom processes, and domestic laws. Okay, the following one is Malaysia trade performance with major market. Okay, theoretical and empirical publications on exchange rate, volatility, and trade have been continued to emergence with the broad tenor of previous, largely inconclusive analysis and evidence staying unaltered. Despite advances in estimating methodologies and data sets, the empirical literature's conclusion remains ambitious, and it is over the previous 3 decades. Empirical research continues to present a diverse set of results with a strong negative association between volatility in exchange rate and trade, and others finding none. Despite okay, in total, they discovered 33 papers tracing a negative association between exchange rate fluctuation and trade volume, as well as 25 studies that concluded the opposite. Auster also mentioned the majority of this research in further detail in Annex 1. Okay, the following one is the positive correlation between exchange rate volatility and aggregate export. Okay. Aicher and Han in 2009 just conducted an overview of empirical studies on currency unions' beneficial trade impacts. Recent US exports have been impacted by exchange rate uncertainty, which has had a generally negative and significant impact. Okay, the following one is FDI market. This is various difficulties in segregation, with the majority of them being descriptive and character. Worldwide FDI inflows have been trending higher since 1997, seemingly untouched by the Asian financial crisis. Okay, Malaysia has seen a steady increase in foreign direct investment since 1970. Okay. FDI inflows in 1970 to a high of US 5,741 million in 1996. Malaysia economy also received a total of US 5,741 million. That's all from me. Thank you.
My name is Loi Mun Hon and my metric number is 278695. I'm going to present on the trend of international trade's performance of major sectors in Malaysia from 2009 to 2019. From the table and graph, we know that the export of Malaysia has experienced an overall rise from year 2009 to 2014. Despite that, the value of export decreased after year 2014 to year 2016 and eventually bounced back up in 2019. The same situation happened to the total import of Malaysia from around the world at around that time. As for the percentage of growth, the graph that shows a drastic change occurred in both exports and imports from year 2010 to 2015. After 2015, the percentage of growth of both exports and imports, which are in deficits, jumped up to 15% and 15.7% respectively in year 2016 and decreased slightly to deficit values again in year 2019. As conclusion, the performance of both export and imports are considered to be in an unstable state. In this slide, is about the relationship between international trade performance and balance of trade of Malaysia from 2009 to 2019. Based on the table and graph, the numbers of balance of trade in Malaysia in 2019 was recorded at the value of the first column of the table. Later in 2010, the balances of trade has increased. The growth of balances of trade between 2009 and 2010 was 1.74%. The balances of trade continue to be showing a positive trend in 2011. However, a downfall was recorded in 2012 and 2013. Both years recorded deficits of growth at negative 20.71% and negative 28% respectively. In 2014, the number of balances of trade increased from 2013 to 2014, showing a 12.48% growth from previous year. After that, the number continued to be in decreasing growth rate again at about negative 5% in 2015 and negative 12.74% in 2016. In the final 3 years, which is 17, 18, and 19, the numbers are increasing. In conclusion, the growth of balances of trade of Malaysia is quite unstable, judging from the table and graph. In this slide, I'm going to present on total export and imports of Malaysia by region of the world in year 2009 and 2019 in $1,000. From the table and graph, Malaysia has the most export and imports with East Asia and Pacific region in both 2009 and 2019. The second largest exports and imports of Malaysia was done with the Europe and Central Asia region in both years. In contrast, the lowest value of exports and imports recorded in each year was with the Sub-Saharan Africa region. In conclusion, Malaysia has the most positive trade relationship with the region of East Asia and Pacific and the least positive trade relationship with the Sub-Saharan Africa region. In this slide, I'm going to present about challenges that faced by Malaysia while maintaining trade relationship with the world. One of the biggest challenges is tariff and duties. A direct impact of tariffs and duties is the increasing cost of importing goods from a country or exporting goods to a country. Due to the cost of trading with foreign countries increases, importers or exporters often transfer the cost of tax to the consumers by lifting up the price level. Such action would eventually discourage people from purchasing imported goods and exported goods. Another challenge of performing international trade is the exchange rate of currency. The exchange rate of a country's currency is an important factor in trading with another country. As one currency exchange rate with another is increasing, it will result in rising costs for the importers and beneficial only to the traders which export goods. Lastly, most countries that practice international trading will surely run into the problem of developing diplomatic relationships. If a country is having any relationship with another country, they will definitely encounter difficulties in trading internationally. In this slide, I'm presenting methods of preserving and developing international trades of Malaysia. Taxes are some of the trade barriers and regulation tools practiced by many countries. It may seem like trade taxes would drive out international traders, but if used appropriately, they could be the most useful tool in developing export and import industry. Government could also provide subsidies for both exporters and importers in Malaysia to persuade them to be more active in their business. Government of Malaysia should be more active in maintaining sustainable diplomatic relationships with foreign countries. Sustainability and stability in diplomatic relationship with other nations could improve the overall condition of international trading of Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum and hello. My name is Nurulhuda Lawi. My metric number is 273553. Today I will present about summary and recommendation about the performance of international trade in Malaysia. Summary. For summary, if a country has a production surplus, that country will export certain products in the international trade to other countries that has a shortage of the same product in exchange for a country that has production in small quantities or does not produce the product. Usually the product that we export or import is gas, oil, rubber, and others. A second recommendation, we separate three categories for the solution. There are government, media, and society. For government, there are taxes and subsidies. First, taxes. We will upgrade the policy of tax for international trade as tax be effective to the domestic customer as they need to pay more than actual price. But it can help our country to product our domestic goods and services. Foreign companies need to pay more taxes than domestic companies. It is one opportunity for Malaysia in international trade. Second, subsidies. Tariff and subsidies both boost the price of imported products in comparison to native items by reducing imports. An export subsidy will boost domestic price while lowering overseas price in the event of a big country. A subsidy for export will boost the volume of export. Second recommendation from us is through media. We can make a broadcast by campaign to support Malaysia's goods and services and tourism by social media. Today, the social media have a good opportunity because we can easily make the relationship with other country. By using this platform, we can increase our national income on international trade. The last one is society. From media platform that we have used before, the people from another country decide to come to our country, Malaysia. So it will increase job opportunities for the Malaysian people in the tourism sector and transportation services. So that it will also help our society income. The tourists also manage to buy Malaysia's handmade products and goods. Then demand for domestic product will increase. We can call it as win-win situation because both country and people get benefits from these solutions. That's all from me. Thank you.